Yeah.
So are the checks open to do them like any time of the day? So could I do it like home?
The checks are not. If you guys want,
ended up having to work in the weekly.
if you want and you want to do a check, like you can do it, but like I'd rather you have these two things, or at least this done before, okay, before you do a check. Okay. All right, so we're going to look at this. They've told us, to me, the most important, and I don't know if it's the hardest part, but the most important part is what the variables stand for. They've already told us that in this one, but that is something that you got to make sure that you're going through. Oh, the spiral review, the majority of it is at like feasible region with the inequalities, and you pick the corners and plug them in. Okay, that's the Desmos stuff. Most of the spiral review, bless you, is from that. All right, so this should also be in your notes. In 2016, Dali Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida, offered individual, dual, and family memberships, which cost $60, $80, and $100 respectively. Suppose in 1 month, the museum sells a total of 81 new memberships, for a total of 6,420. The number of dual memberships purchased is twice that of individual memberships. That's going to be an important one. For a variety of reasons. That's going to be one of our equations, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that part right now. So the number, that's going to be one of our equations. Write and solve a system of equations to determine the number of new individual memberships, the number of dual memberships, and the number of family memberships. Okay, so they've told you what the variables are. Usually they're not going to do that. Most of the time, for what you guys are doing, it's going to be the last sentence. Okay, but that's the important part. X is the number of individuals, Y is the number of dual memberships, and then Z is the number of family memberships. So what other things up here are going to be useful?
A total of 81 memberships.
Yeah, we got a total of 81. That's going to be a big one. What else? Was it?
Total cost.
The total cost, because we have all of these, right? We have all of these costs, and then we got a total cost over here. All right, so they got the total of 81 first, so we'll do that one first. So and this is when knowing what your variables mean is very important. The number of individual, the number of dual, and the number of family. Okay, and then you get a bunch of piles, and you add them all up, and what do you get? 81. So then the first equation is going to be what? X plus Y plus Z equals 81. Easy if you understand what your variables mean. If you don't understand what they mean, it makes it more difficult. So that's a very important first step. The second question is this red bracket that I put in. I call these like play on words kind of thing. If you ever get something that says is, or the past tense of is, which is are, then that should make you super happy because then you're just translating the is or the are as the equal sign. So you just do whatever before the is equals whatever comes after the is. So then it says the number of dual memberships purchased is. So which is the number of dual memberships? Y. So then Y, oops, color coded for you guys. Y equals, right? Dual membership is. And then it says twice that of individual. So individual is X.
X over
2X, yeah, 2X. Now, someone earlier today said, wait a minute, it should be the other way. It should be over 2. That's what they were saying. But, again, if you have an is, just translate it the way it is. Okay? The other thing that you can do to make this make sense to you is make up some numbers. So if you understand that the duals are twice the individuals, then just make up a number. Like, okay, maybe there's 4 individuals. That would make 8 Dual, so which one did you multiply by? Okay. Now we can't use that in the calculator as is. Why not?
Cause you said so.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, you should.
It
You'll get. Yeah. You'll get somewhere if you always do what I say. I don't know where you'll get, but you'll be somewhere different.
it's not that form, that x plus y plus z.
Yeah, you gotta. If you're gonna use a calculator, you gotta have it in that form, which is all the variables on the left, equal sign, and then everything else on the right. So then, how can we make that happen? Say it again. Well, we'll still have a variable on each side though if we do that.
Mine's,
Yeah. Okay. So subtract it to the other side. So it'd be like y minus 2x equals 0. Be careful because our first equation goes x, y, z, which, is usually the way you do it. So then really you want 2x plus y equals 0. When you're putting it in the calculator, what do you got to remember to do? Put a 0 in for the z. Okay, so don't forget about that. Does that one okay? Okay, and then it says the next one is a total of 6,420. So how do you know how much money was brought in for the individual sales? Each one costs $60, so then it's going to be 60x plus 80y. So 60x plus 80y plus 100z for the 100 of the family plans, and then that gives you a total of 6,420. Is that okay? All right, so then they end up solving it the longhand way, which is super great. All I want you to do is be able to get the right answer. So, I don't know how much you got done from before, but all these word problems are due tomorrow, so 1 to 21. Now, the nice thing about doing them on the calculator is that you can think through these word problems without frustrating yourself. Because if you're doing it longhand, you make up the wrong equations, well, then you go and solve it and you get something that doesn't make sense. So not only do you have to go back and check your work or check your equations, but then you'd have to resolve it again. Now you can just change the numbers and see if that was the whole problem. Come up with another equation, and it takes you a couple seconds just to find it. Does that make sense? All right, so then when you're looking ahead, because if you're happy, we can just the rest of the day. But if you're looking ahead to number 13, this is the hint on 13. You are making three equations. The first equation is going to be about protein. The second equation is going to be about fat. And the third equation is going to be about moisture. So you keep them separate that way. Okay, so basically you're going to look at the table vertically, not horizontally. What's another one? 15. 15, just be careful with your answers because they're talking about the answers are going to be in ounces, but most of the information is in pounds. Okay, so you could do a conversion if you wanted to, 16 ounces to a pound. Or just realize at the end, if you don't do the conversion, that you need it, if you get like 0.13, that might make sense because that's really referring to ounces. Okay, so you would multiply a pound by 0.13 to see how many ounces that is. Or I guess you'd multiply 16 by 0.13 to see how many ounces that is. Okay, so it might give you something different. And then the other one would be number 20. You're just supposed to solve the system of equations that they give you, and then look up the local sales tax. Okay, so you have to find the price of each of the three things individually by doing a system of equations. Then you look up the sales tax, add those prices together, multiply it by the sales tax, and see if that's under $200. Okay, so it's not like it's all together. You do it separately. So is there any questions on any of that? 21 is what I'm looking for. All right. So again, this can all be done on the calculator. The spiral review is due when? 12:10. So before we talk about, right? So make sure you get that done. That's open. It is most of what I saw. It's about like the system inequalities, plugging in the corners and things like that. Optimization. Nope. All right. So